Well, hello there, everyone. I'm sorry I have pirate hat hair. I was wearing my pirate hat. Yes, Dagny. I in our last stream I opened them up. They are incredible. Thank you very much. I said at the start of I said the last stream that when all of this COVID stuff started happening and people were like, you need to wear masks, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to get some pirate masks for school. And I never did. But now I have two that I'm going to wear every single day. So thank you very much. And I still have this too. I carefully removed some of the 7,000 staples you used. And I'm going to hang it up here in my office. So thank you very much. Okay, so today we are going to have the questions that we asked answered. So I had this early this morning. Maybe if you look closely, you'll see how tired I look. If you're going to interview nurses, you have to wake up early. So we are going to have. I asked our questions to. Good job, Kaylin. I asked our questions that you emailed to me to Nurse Heartwood. She is she works in the operating room at St. Luke's, and she is the manager of the robotics team. So we'll bring her back to talk about robotics stuff. That'll be fun. And she also has worked with COVID patients in the intensive care unit. So I thought that she would be. I mean, she's the most medically trained person I know, you know? So we sent her the questions, and I made a little interview with it, okay? So we're going to play the interview, and I am going to stay on chat here and be with you guys while we watch the interview, okay? Megan is watching too. Hello, Megan. Good to have you. All right, let me fire up this interview here. Here we are. Okay. Where's me? There I am. Just put myself in the corner up here. Okay. Here we go. Okay, welcome, Nurse Heartwood. Hello. Where are you right now?
I'm in the operating room at St. Luke's.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do, like at St. Luke's?
Yeah, I am a surgical nurse, and I do a lot of work with robots and cameras and special lights, and I take care of a lot of patients that have cancer. And yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have you back to talk about robots sometime.
The robots are very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, first, how is, what's the vibe being in a hospital right now while this COVID-19 crisis is going on? What's the big difference?
Hospitals, we take a lot of precautions anyway. There's they're called standard or universal precautions that we use for everyone all the time. That's things like wearing gloves and hand washing. And so now we just sort of amplify those things a little bit. And instead of doing them for just, like what our standard is now is just a little higher. So we do things like wear masks all the time. And we typically have eyewear on. I don't have anyone else in the room with me, so I took mine off. But we try to protect our eyes from splatter or from when people cough or anything like that. but we just go a little above and beyond now. That's really the big difference. Other than that, we're used to taking care of people who are sick. This is just a new kind of sick, and so we're learning as we go.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, so I have some questions from my students here, and some of these are they're very school related, obviously, because they're students. But so let me see here. So the first one I have is, do doctors or scientists know the effect of COVID for young people after they have it? So like anything that might happen to them for the rest of their lives.
I don't know specifically. I know that there is a special like complication of COVID that hits kids a little harder than it hits adults, but it's pretty rare. But other than that, I don't think that there's anything specifically that hits or affects kids long term. I know that what they do know is that people who kind of had COVID at the beginning of all of this and were, got over it a really long time ago, are having long-term like lung damage. They're having trouble breathing. It can cause a lot of scarring in your lungs. So like
that's even after the disease is out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you think about so COVID, I think that when people think about COVID, they think about that it's kind of like a cold or the flu, and but really what it is they found that it affects your vascular system. And so when you have inflammation in your vascular system, your body sends special cells to go and try and fight those things off. But what happens sometimes is those it can cause scar tissue to build up, and that scar tissue, while it in and of itself is not a disease process, it is a long-term side effect of having a disease.
And do you think that is there any evidence right now that we know of that kids who have COVID will maybe have those same long-term effects?
Kids bounce back a little better, and their bodies are, kids get all those special shots you get every year, the boosters and all that stuff. Your immune system is a little stronger as a kid because you have more working for you than adults do. So I would say that the likelihood is probably there that kids could have long-term impact, but there just isn't enough known about it. I would think that the rate of those complications would be much lower in kids.
Okay, that is a good answer to the next question, which was, my question is, why are different ages more likely to get corona than others? So is it the case that kids are less likely to get it, or do they just have different? Yeah, how does that work?
Okay, so think about when you get sick, think about it as if you're when you're at home with your family and your mom gets the stomach flu, typically everyone in the house gets the stomach flu, and it's because you're touching the same surfaces, you're sharing food, you're doing, and so when you put a lot of people in a small space together, or not even a small space, but think of like a classroom, for example, you're not outside, there's not a lot of air moving around. You kind of set yourself up to be more exposed just by being in a place that is not your place around different people. You can control yourself and what you do and actions and precautions you take, but you can't help what other people do and how they, where they've been and what they do. So, so as far as age groups go, we know that elderly people are more susceptible to disease as a whole. That's just because with time, your body ages and so does your immune system, and you just can't fight things off the way that you used to. What we saw recently before school started was that people between the ages of like 20 and 50 were getting it a little more prevalently. And if you think about it, it's because that's the bulk of the people who have jobs. So those people are going back to work, they're interacting with other people. And again, they can take their own precautions, but you have to be able to trust that other people are taking precautions to keep you safe too. So when everyone started going back to work, that age group got a lot sicker. And now that school is back in session, we're seeing a lot more influx of kids. Kids seem to have it way less, it's not as severe in kids. And so you don't always know that you have it. You might have no idea that you're sick at all or have something that is contagious. And so you come to school and you might bring it with you and you give it to another kid who would not know that they're sick. And that's sort of how it spreads.
Okay. All right. So I have another question here that says, when do you think we'll have schools go back? Now, I know that we're starting schools back next week. So I think more of a question for you would be like, do we how do we make sure that when we do go back that, it especially sounds dangerous that it might be that young people they can have it but not show these symptoms. So when we do go back, what can we do to make sure that, we don't have any spread?
So you need to be real. It's hard because I know that you like to be with your friends and you're excited, and but you really need to take those precautions of, making sure that you're sitting at your desk and minding your own space, and that you're, diligently washing your hands, not just after you go to the bathroom, all the time. Wash your hands all the time and wear your mask and wear it above your nose. It doesn't do anything if it's sitting below your nose. Yeah. Because actually viruses like this, more often than not, are it lives up in your nasal cavity, and that's why they swab up inside your nose. So if you're not covering your nose, then it doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. So as hard as it is, I think that if we want school and life, to be as back to normal as possible, we have to understand that that this is just what we do now. This is just, it's not a special thing that we're doing for a while. This is just how things are now. And we just have to grow and adapt and evolve as people and hope that that is enough to take care of each other and keep each other safe.
Okay, good. I have a question here that says, have there been any outbreaks in schools in Ada County? And I know that there have been, there's been a charter school in Eagle that was hit pretty hard. And I know that CUNA has had 2 or 3 cases, but I'm not sure.
This is Kim.
Hello, Kim. Have you seen any cases at the hospitals of maybe students or teachers coming in?
Not that I have seen. What I do know is that most school districts won't tell you specific schools. They'll just say what the numbers for that district are, mm-hmm. Because they don't want to scare people. They don't want to, point fingers. They don't want to blame anyone. But, through word of mouth, it kind of comes out that it's this specific place. But as far as what we see, typically we don't know. We don't know where this, we'll know you're a teacher maybe, but we don't know exactly where you're from, or I haven't seen any kids yet with COVID, other than kids that are coming in for surgery that happen to have COVID, but they're not sick. That's not why they're there. They just happen to have, be one of those people who didn't know that they had it and they're totally fine. But otherwise, the numbers are pretty well protected. And I think that they do that so that they don't cause more panic and more confusion for parents and kids.
Okay. And our last question here is, how will we know that the vaccine will be safe? So I know there's a couple of vaccines that are in development right now. Do you have any recommendations for how to know when the vaccines are safe?
Yes. So when you think about vaccines, you are being given there's a couple different kinds. They can give you a tiny bit of live virus, which means that that your immune system is fighting off something that's alive. That's when you don't feel very good for a couple days. But it's in such low doses that you wouldn't get sick from it. And then there's another kind of virus, or another kind of vaccination where the virus is suspended and it's not alive, it's dormant, but it lets your body at least see it, recognize it, and hopefully gain some sort of immunity. You might still catch something, but it won't be as severe because your immune system has at least built up a little bit of defense against it. As far as the COVID vaccine, I know that I myself, I get a flu shot every year. I think it's really important. I would not get a COVID vaccine. What I know of the immune system and how vaccinations work and the scientists that work really hard to research this stuff is that we just don't know enough about COVID yet. And, it has taken years and years and years of scientific data collection and research and a lot of really smart people that do really big things to keep us safe and just to get the flu shots right. And just to, from my understanding, the flu shots are made about 4 years in advance. They project out what they think the virus is going to look like in 4 years. And they make that, and they spend all of that time making that vaccination. So we know the flu and we understand the flu. This is so new that I would be surprised if it's effective, A, and B, I think that the speed in which they're doing it is leaving a lot of unknowns at risk there. And so...
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like I would personally wait until I hear some of the key people at the CDC say, okay, this is safe now. I don't think I would listen to anyone else besides the doctors.
Well, and that's important to know, and that's important to say that, we have spent years and years and years learning how to do our jobs and how to take care of people and what disease processes look like, and they do look different in other people. One person's COVID does not look like another person's COVID. So who knows what exactly a vaccination would really do. I just feel like there's too much unknown, and with a lot of the confusion between what politics think and what doctors think, I just think that we all need to be on the same page before we expect anyone to do vaccinations for this.
Okay, cool. So one last question from me, and that is, I know that you have worked in the ICU also.
Yes.
Where you have, where the people who have COVID come into the hospital. Can you tell us a little bit about when someone is sick with COVID and comes into the hospital? Can you tell us a little bit about what happens to them?
Yeah. So typically, if people need to be hospitalized for COVID, it's mostly for breathing support. So we help you get enough oxygen to, you breathe And that oxygen doesn't just go into your lungs and out. It like your body absorbs that oxygen and it goes to your fingertips. It goes all over the place. And that's why your skin is pink. And so a lot of times we can tell that these people aren't getting enough oxygen exchange because their lips will turn blue or their fingers will turn blue. And so we'll admit those people and we put them, we give them a mask or, a nasal cannula or something and just kind of watch them and hope that they bounce back. The sicker people end up in our intensive care unit and they have to have a machine breathe for them. And
so they can't breathe by themselves?
And those patients are really, really sick. The virus has just completely taken over their bodies. And in those people, they have a breathing tube that, goes down into their throat and they're asleep and they don't feel it and they don't know that this is happening. But basically we do all of the work that your body is supposed to do. So we help your lungs, which help your heart. You have a lot of IV fluids and we're basically keeping you alive until your body can figure out how to fight it off itself. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for all you do, Nurse Heartwood. It's glad to talk with you today. I'll let you get back to your robots.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So that was those were our student questions asked to the operating room manager at St. Luke's. So for me, the most surprising thing was that she was a little skeptical about the vaccine. And I get that a lot, that we're developing something very fast right now. And there's a lot of concern about its safety. And I kind of feel the same way. But I feel like if, the doctors at the CDC say it's safe, then it's gone through a rigorous scientific process, then I will know it's safe then. So just wanted to emphasize that too. So that was it, guys. Those were our questions. Were there any other questions that maybe you thought that we should ask? You can type them in chat. You can also email them to me. There is my email. Okay, so I also said that next week we will be going back to school, and that is true. Next week we are going back to school, but it's only going to be kindergarten through 3rd grade. So I think the junior high, you guys, will not be going back to school for another 4 weeks. So you have a bit of time. But when you come back to school, when people start coming back to school, we're going to not do this pandemic science class anymore. Everyone will do a make your own elective, which was a program that we made last year to great success. A lot of people had a lot of fun. Well, this year, everyone is going to get to do a make your own elective. So right now you should start thinking about, what are some things, if I could design my own school class, what would I design? What would I take? And this is just for you. You can work in groups. We had guys last year build boogie boards so that they could surf the dam. They worked all together. So you can do that kind of thing like that. Clark likes his class. Well, Clark, guess what? If you are a big fan of pandemic science, then that is something that you can design, I tell you what, I have learned a ton about creating live YouTube channels. If you are interested in doing something like that, that is definitely something that we can do. All right, guys. So I need you all to be thinking about what kind of class you want to create for yourself. This is an awesome chance to make your own school class. something that I did not get to do. You know, who gets to make their own school class? You do. Okay, so think about that. What is it that you're super excited about? What is it you want to do? What do you want to learn? Okay, we'll put that together. Okay, guys, I will see you next week, Thursday, 2 o'clock. Yes, Thursday at 2 o'clock for the next episode of Pandemic Science. I'll see you then. Oh, yes, and tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Answer Plays Minecraft.